Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everybody. This is Laura Smith on Blog Talk Radio. It is 6 o'clock here in the morning, Tuesday morning, July the 12th. I'm glad to be here. This is One Child Abuse Survivor to Another. We're on 30 minutes. It's a live internet streaming radio broadcast from blogtalkradio.com. And the chat room is open, and I did pop the link in there to what we're looking at. I've been looking at these web pages for a couple of months now, talking about, it's Robert Burney's web page is called Joy to Me and You, www.joy2meu.com. And great stuff. We're working on inner child healing, and that's what I'm working on in my healing journey right now. And we're looking at the grief process. So thanks for being here. I appreciate everybody who's tuning into the shows. Taking the time to listen to all my shows. I do a lot of shows, so I appreciate you all trying to keep up with them. And it's hard for me to keep up with them all, so I do thank you. And I'm not a counselor or therapist or anything like that. I'm just a private citizen paying to do my shows here on Blog Talk Radio, and I started this November 2009, and I think I've done, 700, I don't know how many shows, 730 shows or 750 shows, I don't know, but it's a lot of shows, and I appreciate everybody who's taking the time to listen to what I had to say and what I've had to say about child abuse prevention and my own story and my own healing journey, so I thank you for being here. And you have to listen at your own discretion. I say this on every show. It's important. Somebody might be tuning in for the first time, and, it may not see the other stuff there, so you have to listen at your own discretion because I'm talking about abuse, and abuse is a sensitive subject, and a lot of people may find it makes them uncomfortable, especially if you're a survivor and you're just tuning in for the first time, and you're not too far along in your healing journey. This kind of stuff can trigger you, and if you don't have the coping mechanisms built in place, it can make you rather uncomfortable. And so I just ask everybody to listen at your own discretion. Think about what's good for you to listen to, what may bother you, what may cause you discomfort, and if the topics of abuse of any type might bother you, then you have to do the right thing and turn the show off. And young people under the age of 18, I just ask that you have permission to listen to my shows because I believe in protecting children at all times. I'm the Canada Regional Director for Dreamcatchers for Abused Children, and that's what we're doing. We're standing up to fight to save children's lives and to promote education and awareness regarding child abuse and how to protect children. So you have to learn how to protect yourself. So if you're under the age of 18, I ask that you don't listen to my show and have an adult actually listen to it with you, or have an adult listen to it and then see if it's something age appropriately for you to listen to, right? It's really not, it's adult-oriented material. It's all about stopping child abuse and the issues of child abuse, but it's not for young children. So you do me a favor, you do yourself a favor, keep yourself safe online, learn how to protect yourself. Just type into your browser internet safety or online safety, things like this, and that'll bring you to websites that'll teach you how to keep yourself safe online, right? So thanks everybody for being here. I appreciate it. The link to what we're looking at is Joy to You and Me, www.joy2meu.com/grief.htm. And this grief process techniques is what we're looking at, and we're about almost halfway through the page there. And we'll just continue on reading through here. This is what I'm working on right now. And I'll just go back a little. He says it is Robert Burney. Robert Burney, he's a codependent therapist. He's a grief counselor, and he's an author. He's written a book called Codependence: The Dance of Wounded Souls, and he has a lot of his excerpts from his book, pieces from his book here on his web pages. And he's a spiritual teacher and whatnot, and he's just written so much, so please go and take a look at his website. Take a look at the site index, and you can scroll through and see what categories and what may you might want to look at, right? There is some awesome info, and there's tons of information. We could never really cover it all, and I just wanted to cover the parts that I'm working through in my healing journey mainly. But it's been on here for about 2 months on this, looking at his website and his stuff, and it's really good. So Robert Burney says, it is when we start understanding the cause and effect relationship between what happened to the children that we were and the effect it had on the adult we became that we can truly start to forgive ourselves. It is only when we start understanding on an emotional level, on a gut level, that we were powerless to do anything any differently than we did. We're powerless to do anything any differently than we did, that we can truly start to love ourselves. So I think that's very interesting, and on every level, because you think about, what so many people have gone through in their lives, especially in their childhoods, that it could have been so, horrifying and so sad and so tragic, and especially being abused. So many children. I mean, we know the facts. The facts are what they are. The stats are what they are. This is not. This is sadly enough. It would be great if it was all just made up. You know what I mean? But this is truth and this is reality of what kids are going through. And so it's only by taking a look at at what happened. And thinking about, okay, what happened to me as a child, and then the effect it had on me as an adult, and realizing that it was not my fault. I had no way to stop and prevent what happened to me as a child, because children actually, they're vulnerable. They can't protect themselves. So whatever you've gone through in your life, where somebody has hurt you or somebody has done something to me, that we were powerless to stop it. And so we have to learn how to love ourselves. We have to learn how to forgive ourselves for not being for being so helpless. Because many times I think people carry this sort of subconscious feeling that there could have been something that they could have done to stop it. A lot of times people will take on that role of that position of responsibility, when actually, babies and children can't control anything that's happening to them that somebody's going to do to them. They are powerless. They're vulnerable, very vulnerable. And so later on as an adult, we have to learn that this certainly wasn't our fault, and that we were powerless to do anything different. So now we just have to learn how to change that, how to change that grief, how to turn that bad stuff around, into good stuff. So for me, learning how to turn all this anger and rage and very negative stuff, especially 4 years ago. I'm through a lot of it. I still have some work to do. That's obvious, but it's just, I'm in a better place now than I ever was, and that's just because I'm actually allowing myself to work through this stuff. But taking, that anger and that rage and feeling differently, allowing myself, first of all, to honor what happened to me, to accept what happened to me, and say, okay, it happened. So now, since I can't go back and change the past, I'm going to have to learn how to feel differently about it. You know what I mean? So it's a process, and that's what I'm working on, obviously. But it takes time. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. I don't think. Maybe there's a survivor out there that would say, well, it did. It happened for me overnight, and I would say, well, that's great. That's awesome. But it definitely is moving along at a sort of a regular progression, as far as my healing journey goes. So it's just a process. Just got to go through it, and some people can't do it on their own. Some people can do self-help, and some people can't. So you have to know, that you're safe enough to do this type of work on your own. It's very important. You don't want to start doing some of this healing work and then find out halfway through that you're not really in the position, with the coping skills, coping mechanisms in place to do this work on your own, and then find out that, that you've just, it's just worse for you, and you end up spiraling down. Like, that's not good at all. You have to be really, really sure that it's okay to, if you're going to do this stuff, self-help, you got to be sure that you're not going to hurt yourself, you're not going to hurt somebody else, and that you do have the coping mechanisms and also the support to back you up, just in case, like, I made a commitment to myself 4 years ago. I said, if I can't do this self-help, then I will get professional help. If I don't see positive results along the way, or I start going backwards, and end up in a worse position than I was, originally, which was bad, then, I'm going for professional help, because I absolutely refuse to allow myself to hurt myself or to hurt somebody else. I will not do it. You know what I mean? And that's my commitment to myself. And so I'm okay doing this stuff self-help. Right now I'm looking at the child sexual abuse and incest that happened to me when I was 8. Obviously, I've been talking about it a lot on my shows. And I can't spend all my day in the past. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still living here in the present. You know what I mean? So I have things to do, and I have to keep myself busy, and I have to, I need to have a place for everything. There has to be a time for everything. And so I can only look at this stuff, for certain periods during the day. I can't spend my whole time looking back, right? And so I just pick manageable pieces, manageable little time slots to work through stuff, and I make the progress I make, deal with what I got to deal with, and then I have to get back in the present, into the now, because I have things to do. You know what I mean? Like, I got a life to live. We all do. And what it does, it just allows me to do this in a progression that's very manageable, right? And so I can only do so much per day to work on it. So I'm not in a hurry or a rush, like, to get through my healing journey. Like, I'm taking it as one step at a time, you know, like just dealing with what I feel right at the moment, you know, that I feel, okay, I need to look at this. I need to rest this. I need to grieve this. I need to cry right now, or whatever it is, right? And I allow myself to do that, but I don't stay there. And that's the difference between today, really, and 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I was unable to. I was having a real hard time coming back from bouts of looking back, you know, flashbacks, memories, you know, body memories, you know, just the works, right? And knowing what happened to me, and I think the reason why I was having such a hard time is because it was internalized. I wasn't able to get it out, so it was just boiling and boiling within me, all this horrible stuff, right? So once I started to actually release this stuff, which was speaking about it, talking about it, getting involved to help stop child abuse has been a huge proponent for why I'm doing so well. Because it allows me to get angry when I need to get angry. You know, it allows me to say, stop child abuse, you know, because part of my little inner child is screaming out, look what they did to me. You know, so, you know, my bigger part of myself is saying, we've got to stop this mess for these kids out here. You know, and so it allows me to be, you know, to be my own best advocate. You know what I mean? And also for other children. My God, you know what I mean? I'd like to think I would be doing that even if I wasn't abused. I really would, because I care about children, you know. But we have to do this stuff when it's manageable, I think, and make sure that we get help. Like, if we can't do it and we're thinking, oh man, I'm spiraling down, or I'm just not making, you know, I'm just not getting anywhere, and it's causing me more problems to even start my healing journey. You know, you know your gut instinct. You know yourself then what you have to do, because you certainly don't want to spiral down and end up in a worse position than you were originally. So you know, you want to get help, right? So that's what I may have made a commitment to myself. That's what I would do, and I think it's important. We certainly don't deserve to be. We didn't deserve any of this, right? So we certainly don't deserve to be in a situation where we're not going to set ourselves up to get help, right? I mean, there's some for abused children. You know, there were many times for many of us there was no help. So we just learned to deal with it on our own, you know. And so that's why when we get older as adults and we have to deal with this stuff, you know, many times it's like, I can handle it, I can do it, you know. When really we need help. We needed help then. We need help now, right? And so there's no shame in it. There's no shame in asking for help, right? So he says grieving is a very different experience from being depressed. And he says while we are grieving, we can still appreciate a beautiful sunset, or be happy to see a friend, or be grateful to be sad. So depression is being in a dark tunnel where there are no beautiful sunsets. So there's a difference between grieving and depression. I have some guests here, and Gypsy Witch, good morning. And he says the grieving work is energy work. So once we can get out of our heads and start paying attention to what is happening in our body, then we can start releasing the emotional energy. And when we get to a place where the emotions are coming up, hold on just a second, I got to plug my headphones in. Okay, sorry about that. I had to plug my headphones in. So he says when we get to a place where the emotions are coming up, when the voice starts breaking, the first thing I have to tell people is to keep breathing. We automatically stop breathing and close our throats when the feelings get close to the surface. So Robert Burney's a grief counselor as well as codependent therapist, you know. So he says at that point the technique is to locate where the energy is concentrated in the body. So it can be any place from head to feet. Much of the time it's in our back because that is where we carry stuff if we don't want to look at it, or in the area of the solar plexus, anger or fear, or heart chakra pain, broken heart, or chest sadness, right? So then the individual breathes directly into that place. So visualizes breathing white light into that part of the body. And that starts breaking up the energy, and little pieces of energy start getting released. And these balls of energy are the sobs. So this is a terrifying place to be for the ego because it feels out of control. And it says it is a wonderful place to be from a healing perspective. So empowering the healing is going with the flow. So he says, inhale the white light, exhale the sobs. So the sobs, the sobs from our throat, the crying, sobs, tears, he says, snot from the nose are all forms of energy being released. So he says you can be in the witness watching yourself and controlling the process at the same time you are in the pain and releasing it. And so this is really quite interesting. I haven't done a whole lot of this, but what I have done, because I'm a Christian, right? So, this is a little bit out on the other side of that, what I mean? Somewhere on the side, This is a little bit more, deeper than what most Christians would be really willing to do. The issue is that I look at it as God is light, right? God is to me, right? So, I feel like that is truth, and there is healing in that. And so what I have done in the past, when I really felt that I needed protection, especially, I didn't do this as a child, I don't think. I may have, I don't remember trying to put a bubble of protection around myself when my mother was bashing my head in. I really don't. I couldn't think fast enough to do that, right? She attacked me on a level that was so brutal, and so quick, that I didn't have time to think about how I was going to protect myself. She just, I didn't even have time to think, right? So, but I know as an adult, when I've had situations where I really felt that I was being attacked spiritually, or, in some way, I would put a white light of protection around myself, or feel this white light of, this pure energy of protection and peace and love and everything else and goodness around myself, especially when I could feel like a whole lot of negativity kind of coming around me, you know what I mean? And I think that, a spiritual attack of some sort, right? So, I believe that. I believe that there is something to this, and I haven't done this work here that he's talking about, as far as feeling the light going in and breaking up the energy, the little pieces of it, and then releasing it. Right? I haven't done that, but at some point it wouldn't be a bad thing to try for myself. I'm willing to do it. So he says, by controlling the process, I'm referring to choosing to align self with the energy flow, surrendering to the flow instead of shutting it down as the terrified ego wants to do. So it is hard to learn this process without a safe place to do it, and someone who knows what they are doing to facilitate it. So once you have learned how to do it, then it is possible to facilitate your own group processing. See, so this is quite interesting. I've never done anything like that, right? So he says, own your voice, own the child's voice, right? We have to be able to scream really and say whatever we want. Now I talked about this before. I live in an apartment, in a complex, and if I really wanted to do the rage work, people would think somebody was being killed in my apartment, or that I was killing somebody, because I can't just go screaming and raging around my apartment, because people would call the cops. They'd be scared. They'd be like, oh my God, somebody's gone crazy next door. We're gonna have to phone the cops. It's that woman that lives over there. You bet they would, and really they should. There is a place for this, and I truly believe that it should be someplace where you're safe to do it, and that it's okay for you to work through this stuff. I wanted to go out into a huge field somewhere where there was nobody around. Maybe go with some people that could help protect me from I don't know. I was just thinking, if you're out in some field, what could get you, you know what I mean, sort of thing. I don't know, wherever you live, you know what I mean. Up here it's bears and stuff. But the thing is Calgary, Alberta, we're out in the middle of the wilderness here, a city right in the middle of the wilderness. Really, there's nothing much around here, except for countryside and mountains, outside the city. So I'd be concerned about a cougar or a bear or whatever. But anyway, if I was going to go into the middle of a huge field out in the mountains somewhere, that'd be okay to just scream my head off there, because nobody would be, people wouldn't necessarily hear that, you know what I mean? But I can't do it in my apartment, So there's certain things that we can do and certain things that we can't. And I decided that I didn't want to do that anyway, because I decided it'd be too hard on my body. Be too hard on my vocal cords and my, it wouldn't be healthy for me to do that. But so I have to release my stuff and my rage and that another way, and so, but for some people this may work. I don't know. I've heard from other people that they've done the work and this type of work, and it does help. I haven't done that. So I used to scream and rage at my parents, a long time ago, because that's what they were. We were always screaming and raging at each other. That was how we lived our lives. So I see I did all that, you know what I mean? But now I need to scream and rage for my little inner self, for all the wounded parts of myself. But I don't have that energy to scream and rage, you know what I mean? Physically, I can't do it. So I'm having to do this stuff a little differently, you know, to let this rage and stuff out, and or this sadness, this grief, you know. So that's what I'm working on, but it's much more mellow compared to what he's talking about here. But he says, yeah, so we need to be able to own our voice, own your voice, own the children within you, these little wounded inner children, inner child, right, inner self. Own that voice, right, which is what I've done. I'm really speaking, you know, for myself. A lot of the stuff that I'm doing, you know, and it's not just about myself, but some of it is, and that's for me, so that, you know, I can learn. Okay, I do love myself. You know, I do love myself enough to say what happened to me was wrong, and that my inner child, you know, is still in pain and needs somebody to hear what happened to her. You know what I mean? And so by me coming out and kind of talking to people about this stuff and not staying silent and not staying, you know, in this misery, you know, it really did show my inner child. It showed my inner self that, you know, finally the truth is made known. And she doesn't have to at least suffer on her own anymore. And I'm acknowledging the fact that she's there, you know, and that those wounded parts of myself, there's many, obviously. You know, at least know that I didn't forget them, you know what I mean? And because I'd stuffed this stuff for a long time, really, and didn't deal with it. So, you know, this is, you know, it's harsh, it really is, but you know, we can do it, right? He says it is vitally important for us to own our right to be angry about what happened to us or about the ways we were deprived. So he says if we do not own our right to be angry about what happened in childhood, it greatly impairs our ability to set boundaries as an adult. And this is just a thing. See, a lot of people, you know, some people who wouldn't want to hear that. You know, there'd be so many people who would say, "Oh, suck it up." You know, like, my God, how many years ago was that? Like, I've had people tell me this. You know what I mean? Like, how many years ago was that? And you're still upset about it? Oh my God, you know. And I just look at those people and I'm like, I don't know. Have you ever been raped? Have you ever had your head smashed in? You know, did your mother ever say she wished you were dead? Spit in your face and kick you around? You know, treat you like shit? You know. I don't know. Did she? Can you get over that? You know, I really, you know, I don't get mad at people who say stuff like that, because it's not an anger towards them. It's this issue that they just really show me how ignorant they really are. And then I don't want to talk to them anymore. Because I'm like, you know, if you're that ignorant, you don't even need to be in my life. You know what I mean? Ignorant statements by people who don't understand where we're coming from, where we've been, and how incredibly hard it is just to survive in order to be here today, you know. And so I don't, you know, I once in a while somebody gets in and gets under my skin and says something that really hurts me, but generally I don't pay much attention to it, you know, because, you know, I know where I've been. I know why it's been so hard for me, you know. And people would say, "Oh, get over it." Now, abusers like to say that. My parents used to love to say that after they would beat us up, you know, like, especially like this. I mean, just certain situations, you know, like my mother, especially if my mother, you know, beat me up and gave me a bloody nose or whatever, really hurt me, you know, and I'd be crying the blues about it, saying, "Look what you did to my face," you know, like, how am I going to go to school? I'm going to have to go to school tomorrow, you know. What am I going to say? You know, she'd be like, "Oh, suck it up. You're going to school. I don't care," you know, like, tell them I hit you. I don't care. Tell them I'll hit you again, too. You know, that was my mother's attitude. As if it was no big deal that she did this to me. You know, like, it was just, to her, it was just like no problem for her to hurt me. And I was just supposed to be okay with it. And I had other family members, brother-in-law, that was very much like that. You know, he knew the situation in the home. I mean, they were abusing their own children, so there you go. But the thing is, you know, he would say stuff like that. You know, he you know, just a whole lack of, I don't know, a soul, spirit, right? These are abuser types, right? Who don't care if they hurt people. You know, who don't care what they do to a child. They don't care. You know, it's really sad, but that's how people are. And so we have every right to be angry about what happened to us. You know, like, we do. If you're a survivor out here, you know, and you're listening, we have every right to be angry and pissed off and upset and sad and down and everything else because of what happened, And you can't let somebody tell you, "Oh, get over it now, get over it. You should be over it by now." I've had people tell me this, in the past, and I'm just looking at them like, I feel sorry for you because you're so ignorant, because that's the truth of it. And then generally I don't have anything to do with them anymore because I'm like, if you're that ignorant, I can't have you in my life, right? It's like, because that's an ignorant statement. Like, you don't say that to somebody who has been fighting so hard just to get where they are, just to maintain that sanity level, just to be able to pull themselves up in the morning. I had years of trying to deal with just getting up in the morning, as a child, and facing the day, and thinking, what the hell is today going to bring? Because yesterday was bad, and so today isn't probably going to be any much better, And so, you want to talk about some serious shit, And then you have somebody telling you get over it. I'm like, you know what? I don't even want you to live in my shoes for 5 minutes, because that's asking. That's like putting a life sentence on you. So how about you just move on? Go find somebody else to hang out with, right? Like, that is so harsh and so horrible. So we have to feel that it is our right. It's okay for us to be angry about what happened to us, right? But we need to channel that anger, and I think that's important. For me, just to sit around being angry that's what I was doing. It wasn't helping anything. So anger just if it's not channeled properly, or it's not used properly, it becomes abusive, self-abusive, self-injuring, which is what I wanted to do. A lot of self-injuring and self-sabotage, these types of things, and this to hurt somebody else or hurt yourself. When I was younger, I used to hurt other people, but now then it was my own self. It's internalized, direct, for me, and directed towards me, because I realized I didn't want to hurt people. But it's pretty harsh, right? We do need to learn how to deal with our anger, but we do have the right to be angry. So you don't want to let somebody tell you that, what's the matter with you? You shouldn't be angry about that. It's like, what? Like that would be somebody who has this disease that Robert Burdy's talking about. This disease that the world has, that where their thinking is distorted. Right? Because when you get down and you look at light and truth and love and goodness and mercy, it has nothing to do with that attitude. Because there's no compassion in there. When somebody says to you, "Oh, just get over it," where's the compassion in that? Where's the empathy? Where's the compassion? Where's the mercy? To say, "Oh my God, yeah, you should have never ever had to deal with that. And if I can do something for you, let me know. I'm here for you." That's what you need to hear, right? Not somebody saying, "Oh, get over it already," It's like that's the disease, right? So I don't allow people like that in my life, right? So it's but that's probably why I do, I have so many good people in my life, because I actually don't allow those types into my life. So it's good. It's a good place to be, because everybody that's in my life is there for a reason, because they're compassionate, they care, they're good people, It's very important to find those good people out there. There are good people, and there are lovely people that can help us get through this stuff. But if we don't reach out, how are we going to know? So that's just the issue. And so we'll finish this up to looking at some more of this tomorrow. We're a little more than halfway down the page there. But this is really good stuff. I hope you will go to this website and check it out. www.joy2meyou, JOY, 2MEU.com. It's Robert Burney's webpage, and it's really good stuff. You may scroll through there on the site index and find like a whole bunch of stuff that relates to you that you want to work on. You know what I mean? Like really, really good stuff. Like I really like what he has to say. Some of it I don't understand. Some of it doesn't make sense to me. But it doesn't matter, because it's fine. I mean, what I relate to and what makes sense to me is good, right? So for me, and everybody's different, right? So, you can scroll through and just take a look and see what he's got there. It's really awesome information. So, have a great day, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Tonight, Carol D. Levine will be on my show, 7 o'clock, and she's the author of Panic Child, and she's an awesome lady. She's a survivor. She's been through, she's been through some stuff that, is just absolutely horrific, but she's come out of it on the other end, victorious and a really beautiful person, a very nice lady. And I hope that you will check that show out, 7 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We're going to be on for 90 minutes and talking about her book and her story and what happened to her, and also just taking a look at her advocacy work, right? So thanks for being here. Have a good day. Make sure you reach out and get some help. If you're not coping and you're not doing well, and you're thinking, who am I going to talk to, and there's nobody around because everybody's busy, then you phone a crisis line, right? You do what you have to stay around. You make the right choice for yourself to allow yourself to reach out. If you're having a hard time, and just allow yourself to get help if you really need it. That's what I said. That's what I did for myself. I said I'm going to allow myself to heal and to get help, right? And if that means calling a crisis line, it does. If that means getting a counselor or therapist, that's what it means. If that means group support, that's what it means. If that means self-help, whatever it is. But I'm not going to do this on my own anymore. So make sure you do reach out to somebody if you're having a hard time, right? Take care, everybody. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tonight. Bye bye.